There are voices that sing songs, and there are voices that sing the story of us. Voices that contain all of our joy, all of our heartbreak, and all of our desperate, foolish hope. For the 20th century, that voice, belonged to a woman named Judy Garland. She was a force of nature packed into a 5-foot frame, a vaudeville prodigy who became the biggest star at the biggest studio in the world. She was Dorothy, the girl from Kansas who taught us to dream of a world somewhere over the rainbow. But the magic we saw on screen was paid for at a terrible price. Her childhood was stolen by the relentless grind of the MGM studio system. They gave her amphetamines to keep her working and barbiturates to make her sleep. They controlled her diet, capped her teeth, and told her she wasn't beautiful enough. They manufactured a star, and in the process, they began to destroy the girl. Her life became a public spectacle of legendary triumphant comebacks and devastating heartbreaking collapses. She was a woman who lived her entire life on a wire without a net. And into this brilliant, beautiful, and terrifying storm, she brought 3 children. Children who would inherit not only her monumental talent, but the profound trauma that came with it. Her voice sent a generation over the rainbow into a world of dreams, but for her own 3 children, life with Judy Garland was a story of survival. A story of growing up in a constant tempest of addiction, debt, and monumental genius. What did it take to be a child of one of America's most beloved and most tragic icons? In this video, we will tell the incredible, triumphant, and often heartbreaking stories of Liza, Lorna, and Joey, the 3 children of the legendary Judy Garland. Born into the very heart of show business royalty, their lives were a roller coaster of exhilarating highs and devastating lows as they navigated the brilliant, chaotic, and ultimately fragile world of their mother. We will explore the dazzling life of Liza Minnelli, the showbiz scion who inherited her mother's titanic talent and her personal demons, battling her way out of a colossal shadow to become a legend in her own right. We will delve into the story of Lorna Luft, the tough, pragmatic survivor who was forced to become her mother's caretaker as a teenager and later became the family's fierce and unflinching truth-teller. And we will uncover the quiet life of Joey Luft, the youngest son who witnessed the final, most turbulent years of his mother's life and sought to build a life for himself far away from the blinding shadow of the rainbow. To bring you these deeply personal stories, we have drawn from iconic live performances, rare and candid television interviews, and most importantly, the unflinching family memoirs written by the children themselves. This is an intimate look at the human heart behind one of the most famous and most tragic voices of all time. Number 3. Liza Minnelli. The heiress to the legend, she was born with stardust in her veins. A child of pure Hollywood royalty, destined for the stage. Her mother was Judy Garland. Her father was the visionary director Vincente Minnelli. Her godparents were Ira Gershwin and Kay Thompson. She was quite literally born in a trunk. But how did Liza Minnelli manage to step out of the biggest, most beloved shadow in show business to become a singular, Oscar-winning icon herself? All while battling the very same demons of addiction and anxiety that haunted her mother. Born in 1946, Liza May Minnelli was a showbiz baby from her first breath. Her childhood was spent on the vibrant, magical backlots of MGM, a surreal world where fantasy was the family business. She made her film debut as a toddler in one of her mother's films, In the Good Old Summertime. Show business wasn't a choice for Liza. It was her birthright, her native language. From a very young age, her own unique talent was undeniable. She had her mother's powerful, emotive storytelling voice and her father's innate sense of theatricality and style. By the time she was a teenager, she was already a rising star on Broadway, earning her first Tony Award at the astonishing age of 19 for Flora, the Red Menace. But the comparisons to her mother were relentless, a constant chorus in the press and in the public's mind. For years, Liza fought to establish her own identity, to prove she was more than just Judy Garland's daughter. Then came 1972. It was her year. The year she became simply Liza. As Sally Bowles in Bob Fosse's dark, brilliant masterpiece Cabaret, Liza delivered one of the most electrifying and iconic performances in cinema history. The role of the hedonistic, desperately vulnerable, and defiantly unconventional singer in pre-war Berlin was a world away from her mother's wholesome, girl-next-door image. It was dark, dangerous, sexually ambiguous, and utterly mesmerizing. She won the Academy Award for Best Actress for the role. In that same year, she won an Emmy for her television special, Liza with a Z, and she already had a Tony. She had achieved a level of critical acclaim that even her legendary mother had never reached in her lifetime. She had finally, definitively arrived. But alongside the incredible talent, the Garland DNA also carried a predisposition to fragility. Liza inherited her mother's demons. Her life has been a very public battle with the same addictions to alcohol and prescription drugs that plagued Judy. Her personal life was often tumultuous, marked by 4 high-profile and ultimately failed marriages, including to the openly gay Australian showman Peter Allen, who had once been engaged to her mother, and to the Oscar-winning producer Jack Haley Jr., whose father had, in a twist of fate only Hollywood could write, played the Tin Man alongside her mother in The Wizard of Oz. Despite these struggles, Liza's resilience is legendary. Like her mother, she is a survivor. Time and time again, she has come back from personal and health crises to deliver powerhouse sold-out concert performances around the world. She is a beloved icon, particularly within the LGBTQ+ community, who see her as a symbol of survival fabulousness and unapologetic theatricality. Liza's story is a complex tapestry of triumph and turmoil. She is the living embodiment of the Garland legacy, a titanic, once-in-a-generation talent, and a profoundly vulnerable human being who has survived against all odds to become her own singular legend. While Liza was conquering Broadway and Hollywood, becoming a new kind of legend under an intense international spotlight, her younger half-sister Lorna was living a different and in many ways far more difficult reality. It was a life that involved shouldering the immense daily grinding burden of their mother's escalating struggles. Number 2. Lorna Luft, the keeper of the truth. Liza knew her mother as a fellow legend, a co-star. But Lorna Luft knew her as a job, a responsibility, a storm to be navigated every single day. How did the second daughter of Judy Garland grow from being her mother's teenage caretaker and protector into the family's tough, pragmatic, and absolutely essential truth-teller? Born in 1952, Lorna Luft was the daughter of Judy Garland and her third husband, the charismatic, charming, and often controversial producer and businessman, Sid Luft. Her childhood was starkly, dramatically different from Liza's. She grew up not during the protected golden age of MGM, but during Judy's more turbulent, unpredictable post-studio years. This was the era of legendary triumphant comebacks, like the 1961 concert at Carnegie Hall, often called the greatest night in show business history. But it was also an era of crushing debt-deepening addiction to a cocktail of pills and a constant draining instability. From a very young age, Lorna was forced to be the responsible one, while her mother was the brilliant, emotional center of their universe. Lorna became the practical, grounded one. In her teenage years, she was often the one making sure Judy got to the stage on time, the one who knew where the pills were hidden, the one who tried to protect her mother from herself and from the legion of enablers who surrounded her. She and her younger brother Joey were often shuttled between hotel rooms across the world, their lives a chaotic whirlwind dictated by their mother's concert schedule, her finances, and her fragile health. It was a childhood spent in the trenches of stardom. Like her mother and sister, Lorna possessed a powerful belted to the rafters singing voice, and pursued her own career on stage. She had a successful run on Broadway in shows like Promises, Promises, and has toured the world as a concert performer. But the comparisons were always there, a constant frustrating shadow she could never fully escape. Her most significant and lasting contribution, however, came not on the stage, but on the page. In 1998, she published her unflinching, courageous, and deeply moving memoir, Me and My Shadows, a Family Memoir. The book was a revelation. It lovingly, but with brutal honesty, detailed the reality of growing up with Judy Garland. It spoke of the drug abuse, the suicide attempts, the financial chaos, the medical crises, and the immense, overwhelming love that somehow held it all together. It was a courageous act of truth-telling that humanized her mother in a way nothing had before, stripping away the myth to reveal the brilliant, funny, terrified, and loving woman underneath. The book was a bestseller and was later turned into an Emmy-winning television miniseries. Lorna's life has also been marked by her own serious health battles, including a long and public fight with breast cancer and a brain tumor, which she has faced with her signature toughness and resilience. Today she is a fierce and devoted guardian of her mother's legacy. But she is the protector of the real Judy, not the fairy tale version. She ensures that the world remembers not just the legend, but the brilliant, flawed, and loving woman who was her mother. Lorna's life was defined by her role as a caretaker and a truth-teller. Her younger brother, however, witnessed the very same chaos and chose a completely different path. A desperate, lifelong search for a normal life far away from the spotlight's punishing glare. Number 1. Joey Luft, the quiet survivor. He was the youngest, the baby boy born into the final, most chaotic, and most desperate act of Judy Garland's life. How did Joey Luft, after a childhood of profound trauma and instability, manage to do what might be the most remarkable thing of all? Escape the shadow of the rainbow and find a quiet, simple life. Joseph Wiley Luft, known as Joey, was born in 1955. As the youngest, he experienced the most unstable and heart-wrenching period of his mother's life. He was a young boy when his parents Judy and Sid engaged in a bitter public divorce and custody battle. He and his sister Lorna were the ones who were often at the center of their mother's whirlwind, moving from place to place, from hotel to hotel. Sometimes living in luxury, other times on the verge of poverty as bailiffs knocked on the door. He was only 14 years old when his mother died of an accidental overdose in London in 1969. The loss of his mother at such a formative age, combined with his traumatic and unstable childhood, profoundly shaped the man he would become. Unlike his famous and famously outspoken sisters, Joey had no desire whatsoever for a life on stage. He craved the one thing he never had as a child: normalcy, peace, quiet. After his mother's death, he went to live with his father Sid Luft and tried his best to build a life for himself deliberately outside the glare of the Hollywood spotlight that had both created and consumed his mother. He pursued a career behind the scenes, working in various capacities, including as a photographer and in sound engineering. His choices were a deliberate and deeply understandable attempt to distance himself from the legacy that had defined and in many ways consumed his family. For decades, he was the forgotten child of Judy Garland, a man living a quiet, intensely private life, and that was exactly how he wanted it. In recent years, however, Joey has slowly, cautiously begun to step forward, often alongside his sister Lorna, to participate in tributes to their mother. In 2014, he helped produce a traveling stage show called Judy Garland The Live Concert, which used rare home movies, family photos, and his own personal memories to tell her story. It was a loving, gentle tribute from a son who, after a lifetime of silence, was finally ready to share his own unique memories of the mother he loved so dearly. Joey Luft's story is one of quiet, dignified survival. He is a testament to the fact that it is possible to emerge from an extraordinary and traumatic childhood and find a life of peace. He didn't seek the spotlight, but has found his own way in his own time to honor the woman who was to him simply Mom. Together, the lives of Liza, Lorna, and Joey tell a complete and powerful story of survival. It's a story of children who often had to be the parents to their own famous mother, each finding a different way to process their unique and complex inheritance of talent and trauma. A star, a truth teller, and a quiet survivor. 3 different paths leading away from the same beautiful, terrible storm. This powerful theme of navigating the chaotic personal life of a true Hollywood icon is a powerful one we have explored before. In a previous video, we dove into the glamorous and turbulent world of Elizabeth Taylor, a close friend of the Garland Minnelli family, Liza's godmother, and another legend whose life off-screen was every bit as dramatic as any role she ever played. We explored her 8 marriages, her incredible career, and her groundbreaking activism that saved countless lives. You can watch that definitive story by clicking the link right here. And her children's stories of growing up in that whirlwind of paparazzi husbands and priceless jewels are just as fascinating. We are currently putting the finishing touches on our deep dive, Elizabeth Taylor's 4 children, the Untold story. To see how they navigated that incredible life, make sure you are subscribed and have hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss it.